This video is going to show you how to make a basic Google form and realize that you can take your form to many different levels. You can have it as a quiz, an exit ticket, a check for understanding. It can be a survey. It can be a data collection tool. There's a lot of great uses for making these forms. Now, there are a lot of different online assessment tools that are available to you. Google Form is just one of the great options. I'm going to walk you through how to set up and create your first Google form. When you go to your drive, as we've talked about before, you have the ability to create docs, slides, there's sheets, there's forms, there's websites, there's lots of different things you can create. On your main drive page, if you click on New, I would recommend putting this in a folder, but for this video I'm just going to show you how to make it without putting it in a folder here. So I'm going to click New, I'm going to go over to More, and then go to Google Forms. Now the two options here are blank form, meaning you're just starting from a blank scratch basically. And then the next one you can do is a from template. And that we're not going to go through the from a template today. We're going to go through just a blank form. Here's what this will look like. So it's a basic layout. It allows you to do multiple choice. If you look here, you can do multiple choice. There's short answer, there's paragraph, check boxes, drop down. You can upload a file to it, which is a pretty neat deal. Linear scale. This is a great one used for if you're doing like a check for understanding. How is your comfort level for this specific standard? Rate it 1 through 5. 1, I don't really understand it. 5, I could teach others. So you can do a scale like that. Multiple choice grid. This might mean where they're able to pick their favorite book. So it might say, please choose 1 from this column, 1 from this column, and 1 from another column. Or what are your favorite activities? Choose one out of the grid. Date and time. This could be if you're maybe talking about time, or you have a specific date that you want a parent to sign up for conferences, or something for a practice that you're doing, something like that. A couple things right away you want to do is give yourself, or give the form a title. So for this, I might just call it Computer Science Part 1. Now, just like anything you do in Google, it does automatically save right up here. If you make a mistake, you can go back on a previous version. I do want to make sure that the title gets changed up there, so it does say Computer Science. I can put it in a folder. I can star it if I'm going to use this form numerous times. So let's just try this out. The form description, please take your time. You can put any kind of directions you want into the form at that spot. I'm going to go down to my first question. What is Python? Now I can insert a picture. I can do multiple choice. It usually does a good job of recognizing what you want the question style to be, but you do have freedom to change it. Maybe I want it to be short answer where they have to type in a specific answer or a specific word. Paragraph. Maybe I said, what do you think about Python coding? Or what are your thoughts about some big topic, so it's not one specific answer. And you can go down here, you can choose whatever option you'd like. Option 1, I might put a name. I can go down to add another option. Whatever I want it to be. A coding language. Now if I realize I don't like that question, I can delete it here. I can rearrange the question order here. I can also duplicate it. So if there's going to be similar questions, maybe I'm just changing 1 or 2 words, I can duplicate the question. It's a good time saver. I realize I don't need the question anymore, I can just delete it. Required. If you don't have this checked or slid over, students can essentially take a quiz without actually ever answering the questions. So you want to make sure that it is required. If I click here, this is a pretty advanced way to do this. I can go to a section based on answer. What you can eventually do with this is, if a student selects a certain answer, it can direct them to maybe a study guide, a website, a video. There's some really neat things you can do with the advanced Google Forms. You can also shuffle option order. What's really nice with this is you're going to allow these options in here to be kind of scattered. So when students are taking a test, if they're sitting right next to somebody and they look at the other computer screen, they don't have the exact same order. So that's another option there for you. When this question is done, I can then go to plus to add another question. I can add title and description. Maybe I'm going to go for multiple choice. Now I'm going to go to short answer. I can add an image. The image might lead me into the next question, or it might say what the next activity is for them to do. A video, I can make my own video. I can find a YouTube video. So if I click on video here, this is going to allow me to copy the URL or do a video search right here. That then puts the video right in the Google form. One of the nice things with this is you can be very specific with directions for your students. You can also, if your students are young enough and maybe they're not readers yet, you can read them the passage so they're listening to you read the story, and then they have questions that they have to answer. And the bottom one is add section. So if I click on add section, this might take me to the next page or the next section of the test. If I realize I don't need that, I can simply go here and I can delete section or merge with above, which would mean this would combine together. Something you can do to kind of get a little bit more advanced with your test is if you did add that section, after this question it's going to show you after section 1, continue to the next section. I can also customize it so it doesn't go to that next section. If the kids are getting questions incorrect, it can jump them to a different section. So that would be a different video that you could watch and go into. All right, next thing I'm going to click on add question. Here's my next question. If I realize I don't want it here, I can just drag it down. I can drag this one up. A couple things to be aware of with your questions. You do need a question to collect their names or their email addresses depending on how old they are. And one easy way to do that, if you click right up here, you can go over to the settings. So right now, if I check this, I'm going to collect their email addresses. So they have to be signed into Google. Now if your students aren't old enough or it's for the parents or something like that, I don't need to have this checked. However, I would need a question that's going to collect their emails. Limit to 1 response. This would be if a student submits and then they realize, oh shoot, I want to answer questions a little bit differently, or I have a form, I want to try this again. If I limit to 1 response, they can only submit it once. Presentation, I can go to show progress bar. This is if you have multiple sections. Maybe you have 4 sections. They finish the first section, it says 25% complete. Second section, 50%, and so on. Shuffle question order is fantastic. You have a 20-question quiz. Every student has the questions in a different order. When they fill out the questions, it goes into the spreadsheet all in the same correct order. You're not having to search all these different spots. Show link to submit another response. If I don't want them to be able to check it, if I don't want them to submit another response, I would uncheck this. Confirmation message. So when the students are done taking the quiz, a message will appear. Now my recommendation for this section is tell them what you want them to do. If you don't, I'm done, now what? We all have those dreaded words that we have as teachers, and that's one of them. You can now say, please go to the following link and work on this activity. Or here's another activity you can work on. If you click on quizzes, make this a quiz. You can set this up, if I click here, immediately after each submission or later. I'm going to check it myself using the spreadsheet. Miss questions, identify which questions were answered incorrectly, show the correct answers, and point values. You want to make sure that the students know what it is that they got incorrect or correct. If we go back to general, respondents can edit after submit. That would be maybe like a survey. See summary charts and text responses. This I'm thinking is more like a survey as well. They finish it and then they want to see what the other classmates chose. This would not be a high stakes test by any means. I'm going to click save for now. I can go here, I can change the color palette. I can also upload my own image. I have access to all of these. I have access to my albums here. So there are a lot of great choices for you to choose from. I'm going to cancel that. preview. So when you have your test all the way finished, I'm going to click preview. This is what it looks like. And you'll be able to easily edit here. This is the link that the students have to have. So when you're going to give them the quiz or the test or the survey or whatever it is, you need this link right here. And you do need to remember back here how or who is going to get access to this. Restrict to South Sioux City School users, for me, because I'm in the domain. If I uncheck that, that would mean then the students would have to be logged in to their school account. Otherwise, they don't have to be. So I'm going to click Save there. I can also go to More. I can make a copy. This is great. You have quarter 1, quarter 2, and so on. Move it to trash if you don't need it for some reason. I can print it. I can add collaborators. This is really nice to add some of your colleagues onto this. There's add-ons. There's a bunch of great features that you can add on to your test. There's choice eliminator. There's so many cool options that you can go through and figure out what do I want my students to be able to do with this. The main thing here, just like anything else with Google, is really take the time to play around with that. All right, thank you and good luck making your first Google form, or if it's not your first form, good luck customizing your forms.